first off, your thoughts on the whole situation with Clemson and the decision to let Jack Leggett go after such a long time tenure with the Tigers.
Well, it was obviously not an easy decision for them to make. And, this guy's, hey, he's been one of the great coaches in college baseball for a long time now, and it's hard to go to the postseason just about every year. He's done it 21 out of 22 years as a head coach, and that's not easy to do. And, the way that he's respected in the industry, I thought it was very loud that so many coaches around the country reacted so strongly to this dismissal, that Clemson's making a huge mistake. This guy, he does everything with the highest amount of class, and, again, they're a consistent winner, and I understand that they haven't been as good the last few years. Since 2010, they haven't been to Omaha, they didn't able to get through a regional. But, there's a lot of programs around the country that have droughts like that. Miami hadn't been to Omaha since 2008 for this year. Rice had been every year for a while, and they haven't been in quite a while. I mean, there's a lot of great programs that have ups and downs, but he's managed to still keep this program in a regional year after year. So I thought it was, it was a bold move, for better or for worse. I mean, I think probably they would have been better off keeping Jack Leggett, but, it was bold.
I'm seeing a couple sources out right now that Dan Radakovich interviewed Randy Mazie from West Virginia, who was obviously a Clemson alum. Do you feel like he could potentially be the front runner for this position, or do you think that Radakovich is really after someone else?
Well, certainly I would imagine that Randy Mazie is strong in the mix. The guy, he's been head coach before, of course, at East Carolina. He was a very good pitching coach for TCU, and he's done a nice job at West Virginia. He's got kind of that same hard-nosed mentality here, and teams always play hard to compete, just like Jack Leggett teams did. So, it wouldn't surprise me if he winds up being the guy. I'm sure there's other people still on the list that have yet to be interviewed, but I think he's a legit candidate for sure.
I know a couple of names that have obviously been tossed around. You look at Monty Lee from College of Charleston, Kevin O'Sullivan, an assistant for a while under Leggett at Florida. But do you really see a chance at those guys maybe coming in for an interview, or do you think this one's probably probably nailing the coffin for those guys, and they're looking probably elsewhere to maybe go with a name that people might be not as familiar with?
Well, there's no way Kevin O'Sullivan is going to listen. Or really, most of the guys who coached under Jack Leggett are just frankly disgusted with how he was treated. And I don't even think they would entertain the idea of going to work for the guy who fired Jack Leggett. Eric Backus from Michigan already came out and said as much publicly. He said, "There's no way that I would want that job." He's one of those early names that was floated around out there. He said, "There's no my loyalty is to Jack Leggett." And we've heard that so much from other people who've been at Clemson. Kevin O'Sullivan, Tim Corbin, forget about it. I mean, Clemson fans who think that one of those guys are going to come back are delusional. It's just not going to happen. Maybe Monty Lee, I think, would be a decent name for him to look at. He's a Gamecock guy, but he's certainly one of the very great up-and-coming coaches in the area. There's other names I'm sure they could talk to. John Sheff at Maryland is like somebody that I imagine they'd have to at least talk to. That's the guy that has turned Maryland, of all places, into a team that's been to back-to-back super regionals. That's hard to do. That program has been irrelevant for decades, and he's made them into a winner, and that guy's a great coach. So that's certainly somebody that I would look hard at.
Last thing I'll ask you, you mentioned some of those names. I guess with as long as Jack Leggett was with Clemson and, as much success as he had with the Tigers, if they do decide that they go with a name that has no ties to the school or no ties to South Carolina whatsoever, do you feel like that they can continue to keep that program on a regional basis or a regional level, competing for ACC championships and playing for Omaha each year?
Well, certainly they've got a lot of advantages there at Clemson. They've got a great, rabid fan base that really cares about college baseball, and that's something you can't manufacture. They've got a really nice stadium with a $8 million improved facility, just about to open here that Jack Leggett did a lot of work to make become a reality. Whoever inherits this program will have that going for them. Certainly it's a place where you can continue to win. They've got tradition. They've got a lot of things going for them. So, I think that whoever gets this job, will be fortunate because Jack Leggett is up in a pretty good position.